Hey, Blake Roberts, Vice President of the British Columbia Football Conference. I am sending you this video because you are in some way, shape, or form affiliated with the Ontario Football Conference. I'm sending out a video to members of the BCFC and the Prairie Conference as well. That might be a little bit different depending on what conference you're in. I'll be ready in 1 second. Give me 5 minutes. I'm in Saskatoon actually. We're babysitting the grandchildren, so. I'm from Kelowna, those of you that don't know me. Anyway, attached to this video is another copy of my 20 and under white paper that I call it. You may already have seen it. You may not. If so, you're getting it. You may see some merit in it. You may think I'm crazy. You probably do think I'm crazy because most people do. I'm not getting a lot of traction on this at this point. But I just wanted to explain a little bit more of my reasoning behind the paper, and I might repeat a couple things that are in it. But please read it, look at it in the full scope of the document. Don't just pick one thing and say, no, Blake's crazy. I disagree with it for this reason. And I'm rambling a little bit here. This was a kind of a last minute decision to send these videos, but I'm out in British Columbia. And I care about the Canadian Junior Football League. I care about the Ontario Football Conference. There are some people in the West that are a little bit of the opinion, hey, the OFC goes, they go. We'll be fine. We'll play in a Western Canada League with just the Prairies and BC like we did before. I think that would be disastrous. We're not the Canadian Junior Football League if we don't have Ontario. Losing Quebec, as I said in the document, was bad. Losing our largest province again would be disastrous. We wouldn't be the Canadian Junior Football League. You're the center of the world, center of the universe, center of the Canadian universe. We joke, and it drives us out in the West, drives us a little crazy sometimes, but it's true. And if we're going to grow our game at the corporate level, we need Ontario. Now, and also, I'll say that the Ontario Football Conference takes a little bit of criticism from out west because you don't win, you don't compete. Now, before you hang up on me and say we don't want your opinions, Roberts, I'm one of the few people that I think have dug deep on why you don't compete, and it's not your fault. The football climate across this country is vastly different, and the issues that you have to deal with, the disruptors that you have to deal with, are far different than they are in the Prairies and BC. You have far more universities to deal with. The negative opinion of the Ontario Football Conference for various reasons among the high school community is poor. Some you're doing, some not. And it's hard to gain that traction to get that positive opinion going. So I think an OFC, or I think a under 20 CJFL will work for all the reasons that I'd mentioned in the document. And again, please read it. A couple of the reasons I hear it won't, or why coaches don't like it specifically, I hear, what about the 21s and 22s? This isn't fair to them. True. If the 21, if we're 20 and under, they don't have a CJFL to play in. Well, is it fair 23-year-olds or 24-year-olds or 25-year-olds can't play? Where does that bar stop or start? Is it fair that an 18-year-old has to compete against a 22-year-old? Some people would say that's not fair. We owe it to our players to provide the best opportunity possible. And right now, the CJFL model is broken. It's been broken for 30 years. An Ontario Football Conference that gets pasted as often as it does, and a BC Football Conference gets pasted as often as it does by the West, primarily by the Hilltops, isn't healthy. In 29 years, the Ontario Football Conference is 3-24 and outscored badly. How is that a good thing? It's not. When one conference can compete, it's a horrible thing. And my maths may look bad. 3-24 is 27, not 29. You were actually gone for 2 years, as we all know. We need you back. We need you strong. When your conference left the last time, you left primarily because it was too expensive and you couldn't compete. What's changed? Nothing has changed. The amount of money teams are paying to belong to the Canadian Junior Football League just to have no ability to compete is crazy. It's not sustainable, and I don't think it's going to last. I think we're going to crumble. I think we're going to lose the OFC. I think some of our teams in BC are at risk for some of the same reasons you are, some slightly different reasons. So, an under 20, a 20 and under CGFL will work across the country for different reasons. I believe it will in Ontario because you will create less conflict with the Ontario universities. You can become more of a feeder system to them. You're going to be, in the long run, looked at more positively by the high school coaches. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. And I think you're going to get better coaches, more better coaches. You have some great coaches, but as we all know, coaching is thin. I think the coaching ranks are thin. I think you can get more coaches because they want to be part of something good and something competitive and something developmental. The 22-year-old model of the CGFL, 22 and under model, does not work. There is nobody that can. You look at the numbers, it does not work. And when I hear people in Ontario, some of the people in Ontario say, oh, this won't work. What have you got to lose, guys? We have to do something. Are you happy just existing? Are you happy paying CGFL fees just to get your ass kicked every year? You shouldn't be. And you've got awesome football in Ontario. I know you do. And I want to be part of fixing our model. I want an Ontario football conference that is a threat every year. On a side note, get your marketing brand back. Turning everything over to the CGFL is a mistake. If you watch what we're doing in BC, we're trying to create a BCFC brand. The CGFL should be handling our national games. If you look at the Canadian Hockey League, they handle the Memorial Cup. The branding of the teams and the leagues is done by the OHL, by the Quebec Major, and the Western Hockey League. They brand themselves. Get your brand back. OFC proud. Get back on the website. Get your own Facebook. We'd love to talk about that because I think that's part of your issue as well in the long run. And I want to step back. If you're at the AGM in November, you saw me get a little angry at one of your members. I'm going to mention him by name, George Thompson. The reason for that, I sent my white paper to the commissioner of the CGFL. I asked if it could be brought up. I spent hours on this document. I think if you look at it, you know it wasn't done over coffee. And then at the AGM, the CGFL calls George Thompson up to present my paper, something that he had nothing to do with it. And to say that I was insulted and I'm thinking, how is this good business? This is ridiculous. A man that knew nothing about it disagreed with it, and then within 5 minutes asked for a show of hands who wants to go 20 and under. Anybody that knows how I talked about this document, I'm not suggesting for a second that we have a vote in the short term on this. This is serious stuff. I could be dead wrong, but for that man to say, let's have a show of hands, that did more damage to what I was trying to accomplish. So I take some offense to it. And as I'd mentioned in the meeting as well, the fact that he's in Victoria, seeing how the West Shore Rebels market themselves or what goes on in West Shore. Yet he didn't talk to the president of the team more than 3 minutes, and he never did talk to the marketing person. That was a waste of a trip. That was money we can't afford. Out in BC, we spend our money very wisely with our executive travel. We pay for our own travel for the most part. Anyway, that's a little bit of a rant. There was one thing I wanted to mention again, and I apologize. Back to Mr. Thompson. I mean, I had talks with him, and the only time the London Beefeaters came out of your conference, we know how that went when you got to Saskatoon, and no disrespect, most teams end up like that when they go to Saskatoon. Talking to George before the Canadian Bowl, he thinks, hey, if your quarterback hadn't been hurt or whatever, you would have won that game. No, if that's what somebody believes, that's a delusion that you can't help it. Anyway, this, I believe, is workable. What I'm looking for is a committee of people across the country to do hard research in our own markets. I've got a couple people in BC. I've talked to people in the prairies. They're going to at least look at it with me. Mike Morency in Windsor, who is still kind of going, "Oh, I don't know about this," at least Mike is willing to say, Blake, I'll hear you out. Let's dig deep. I need at least one or two other people that see some merit in this to work with me so we can do research. Let's grow our game. Let's add some teams because we're a developmental league. Let's get more people playing junior football in the truest forms, 20 and under. Let's get a league where the majority of the teams have the ability to compete. Let's get Ontario winning some freaking national championships. And last thing, I've heard from coaches and other people that say if the football won't be as good if we get younger. Arguably, no. Our 21s and 22-year-olds are obviously some of our better players, but how good are our national championships now? Most of them are a blowout. So that to me doesn't hold a lot of water. Also, imagine if Canada had a high school national championship. How good that game would be. We would all watch it, and we'd probably be watching it on TSN. We can accomplish that with a Canadian Junior Football League in a rebuilt model. You've got my phone number. Please share this video. Please contact me. You've got my email. I'm sending it from a personal email, not the BCFC marketing one I use. I don't want people thinking this is a BCFC initiative and putting words in people's mouths. My phone number, 250-212-2888, 250-212-2888. Hope to hear from you with your thoughts, criticisms, input. Help me out. Thanks for watching.